All right, this is the third set. Alright, next I'm going to go into the Dai Bong Sao, or low wing arm deflection. The low Bong Sao. Notice that my wrist is closer to my body than my elbow is. So that's something that's a little bit different than the high Bong Sao. Your arm is a little bit more collapsed inwards for this. Now, you can be used in a number of different ways. One of the ways that we use it is as a block. Although not as common, sometimes you do have to use it as a block. Let's say, for example, if we were closed and Gavin's jab came in, if I blocked it and punched him here. Now, you know that when I punch him, I like to pull him to the lower line. This pulls him to my hip, gives me the advantage of facing, and it opens the high line. But one disadvantage I have is if Gavin decided to punch me on the low line right now. You see, because it's open. So this is where I might want to use the Dai Bong Sao. So again, if that same thing happened here, once I punched, I'd use the Dai Bong. Now, if you try to hit me on the high line, that's where your raising Tan Da Chang Dai Jian from earlier in the form could be used, along with a number of other things. Now, I like to use Dai Bong Sao myself. I use it more from prior bridge contact than the way I just showed you. What I mean is if we were open and I had thrown the jab, if Gavin had used Jam Sao to stop me here, then hooked me open and was going to hit my body, that's where I like to use that Dai Bong Sao from prior bridge contact. And again, if that rear shot came in, that's where I might want to use the raising Tan. So I like to use it from prior bridge contact there. In sticky hands, if Gavin tried to leak from the high line, there, I like to use my Dai Bong Sao again from prior bridge contact to guide him. So I use Dai Bong Sao in that way as well. Alright, another way that I like to use the Dai Bong Sao is to chamber for a Fan Sao, trapping him. Now let's say if Gavin had given me the 1-2 and I used a Ji Kyuk, stop kick. That at the same time as I was kicking him to stop his punch, I was chambering my hand for that grab. See? I went here, chambered in the Dai Bong Sao structure. And that gave me more snap in my retrap and hit. Now, one of the other things I like to use it for, let's say we were open, and Gavin had stopped my jab with Bong, and then grab chop. Here, I can use the Dai Bong Sao here as a break to attack his arm while I'm using the Lap Sao motion. So I can hit his arm with the low Bong depending on his position in relation to mine. Now, let's say, for example, we were closed, and he gave me the 1-2 from here, and then there, from the Biu Jung Sao. Remember I showed you that wrap earlier. That comes from the Dai Bong Sao. It's the same sort of structure. See? There's a couple of other different ways you can go into that. Let's say, for example, we were open, and Gavin gave me this jab here. From Fook Sao here, if I just run next to him, I can go into that Dai Bong Sao as a wrap and get his arm locked up in this way. So this is another way I could take advantage of him with Dai Bong.